Hello, everyone. I'm Mia, born and raised in Virginia, a peaceful place with tree-lined streets and rows of charming houses. It's where I spent most of my childhood with my parents. My mother was a kind-hearted soul, always smiling, whether she was preparing breakfast in the early morning or tidying up the small kitchen late at night. My father, a man of few words but immense responsibility, worked tirelessly to provide for our family. We lived in a modest, simple home, but it was filled with warmth and love. In my memories, everything seemed perfect, or at least, that's what I believed. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so I can continue sharing more captivating true stories like this one. And don't forget to watch this video until the end because this tale is going to be truly extraordinary. But when I was just 15, my world came crashing down. My mother passed away after a sudden and brief illness. It happened so quickly that I barely had time to process what was happening. A deep emptiness settled in, and I watched my father grow lonelier in a house that once echoed with laughter. We continued living together, but we were no longer the family we had been. Every morning, I went to school, and every night, I returned home. The kitchen was the same, the meals were still simple, but my mother was no longer there. Now, only two people sat at the table, and the distance between my father and me felt wider than the walls of our home. When I turned 18, my father remarried. It came as a shock, even though I knew deep down that he deserved happiness again. His new wife, my stepmother, was a kind and gentle woman. She brought with her a son, Alex, who was a year younger than me. At first, everything felt strange, as if my life had been flipped upside down once more. The peaceful existence I had known was gone. Initially, I struggled to connect with my new younger brother. He had never done anything to make me uncomfortable. He was quiet, like me, and seemed to be adjusting to our new family dynamic just as I was. In the evenings, the four of us would gather in the living room. My father and stepmother would sit together, chatting about work or future plans, while Alex and I exchanged hesitant glances. I often found myself looking away, unsure of how to navigate this new relationship. Family meals became a chance for us to get to know each other better, albeit in an awkward way. Alex would sometimes help me with food, a small gesture that felt meaningful. He was always quiet, rarely speaking, but occasionally, his gaze would linger a little too long. I couldn't tell if I was overthinking it or if it was just a younger brother's affection for his new older sister. Yet, there was an undeniable tension between us, something neither of us acknowledged, feelings that should have remained purely familial but were becoming increasingly complicated. There were moments throughout the day when I felt my heart race at his proximity, and I hated it. I despised the fact that I had started to see him as more than just a brother. One night, I heard soft footsteps in the hallway. Alex slipped into my room, as he sometimes did, for brief conversations before returning to his own space. But this time, he stayed longer than usual. His eyes searched mine, as if he wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. I wasn't sure how to respond. The air between us felt heavy, charged with unspoken emotions. The silence stretched on, and before I could think it through, I nodded slightly, inviting him to stay a little longer. We sat together in the darkness, two strangers who were somehow inexplicably close. To be honest, I liked Alex a lot. He was handsome in a way that caught my attention, and sometimes I wondered if I should feel guilty about it since he was, technically, my brother. But those thoughts were fleeting, pushed aside by the reality of living under the same roof. We slept in separate rooms on the second floor, while my father and stepmother occupied the first floor. This arrangement sometimes led to awkward situations, and Alex and we were both at crucial stages in our lives. I was a college freshman, and Alex was a high school senior, busy preparing for his exams. We were each adjusting to the new rhythms of our lives, but the unspoken tension between us was impossible to ignore. On quiet evenings after school, we would sit together on the living room sofa, the glow of the TV casting a soft light over our silence. Words often failed us, and the feelings between us were anything but simple. They weren't the typical emotions shared between siblings. I realized, with a mix of confusion and clarity, that I genuinely liked him, more than I should. This realization left me unsettled, yet I couldn't deny the way my heart raced whenever he was near. One evening, like many others, started out peacefully. But I soon realized it wouldn't end the same way. My parents had gone on a 5-day trip, leaving Alex and me alone at home. At first, we thought it would be a chance to relax, free from the watchful eyes of adults. That night, we found ourselves in the living room, watching a romantic movie neither of us was particularly interested in. It was just something to pass the time. I had prepared some snacks, dried squid, fruit, and a few cans of soda. After a hectic week, it felt good to unwind. The movie began innocently enough. We chatted casually, our laughter filling the stillness of the house. But then, an unexpected scene came on, a couple locked in a passionate embrace. For reasons I couldn't explain, we fell silent. The laughter faded, and the space between us grew heavy with unspoken words. I could feel Alex's gaze on me, and a warm sensation spread through my body as I sat there, clutching my soda can to steady my nerves. Suddenly, without warning, Alex pulled me into an embrace. His movements were strong, unexpected, and impossible to resist. His kisses were urgent, as if all the emotions we had been suppressing for so long had finally erupted. My mind was in turmoil, but my body responded in a way I couldn't control. In that moment, in the dimly lit living room, we crossed a line, a boundary that separated sibling affection from something far more complicated. That night, which had started like any other, became a turning point. It marked a change I knew would alter everything. The entire night, Alex and I were inseparable. Boundaries were broken, and words were unnecessary. Everything happened instinctively, a release of all the emotions we had kept hidden for so long. The closeness we once shared as siblings faded, replaced by something deeper and more intense, something we could no longer control. I vividly remember the next morning. Gentle sunlight filtered through the curtains as I lay next to Alex in what should have been my peaceful sleeping space. Everything around me was the same, the quiet room, the warm light, but something inside me had shifted irreversibly. We exchanged few words, our glances conveying a mutual understanding. Our lives would never be the same again. In the days that followed, my father and stepmother continued their travels, and Alex and I took full advantage of our time alone. The awkwardness between us disappeared, replaced by a complicated yet undeniable comfort. We lived as if we were a young couple in love, free from the judgment of others. Meals became intimate moments shared only between us. Each night, we watched movies, talked, and ended our days together in the same bed. During this time, I allowed myself to forget reality, choosing to ignore the fact that Alex and I were only siblings in name. We existed in our own little world, oblivious to everything else. Eventually, the day came when my parents returned. As soon as they walked through the door, everything reverted to normal. Alex and we resumed our roles as siblings, pretending as though nothing had happened, as if every intimate moment had been nothing more than a fleeting dream. My parents remained blissfully unaware, smiling and sharing stories from their travels, while Alex and I exchanged knowing glances. We were both acutely aware that our secret had to stay buried. In the months that followed, our hidden relationship continued. We stole moments whenever we could, turning quiet evenings into passionate escapes. Whenever my parents went to bed early or left the house, Alex would slip into my room, and we would hold each other as if no barriers had ever existed between us. During the day, we played our parts perfectly. Family meals went on without suspicion, and we exchanged only brief, fleeting glances. The tension between us was electric, leaving me breathless, yet I couldn't bring myself to walk away. Guilt gnawed at me, but it wasn't enough to make me stop. Night after night, being with Alex became so familiar that I feared I might never escape it. I knew I couldn't let this continue unchecked, so I quietly started taking birth control pills, ensuring no one would discover my actions. I dreaded the potential consequences of our relationship, yet instead of ending it, I clung to the illusion of control. About a year later, Alex graduated and moved to a new city for college. When he left, I knew our relationship would inevitably change, even if I didn't want to admit it. The distance made everything harder. No more secret nights, No more stolen moments. The physical separation forced us to pause what we had, though I often found myself longing for the past. After graduating, I sought a new path for myself. I applied for a job as an office worker at a digital company. The position wasn't extraordinary, but it offered stability, a respite from the emotional turmoil I had endured. It was during this time that I met the man who would change my life forever. He owned a successful hair salon in the city and exuded calmness, confidence, and charm. From the moment we met, I was drawn to his strength and kindness. He was unlike anyone I had ever known. Every story he shared, every glance he gave, made me feel safe, something I had longed for. Our love blossomed quickly. Everything felt natural, as if we were destined to find each other. Before long, we were married, building the family life I had always dreamed of. Now, we have a child together, and my life feels more complete than ever. My days with him and our little one have helped me push the painful memories of the past to the back of my mind, though they occasionally resurface during moments of weakness. I've found a new home, a man who is worthy of love and respect. Yet, somewhere in the depths of my mind, the memories of Alex and those secret days linger, refusing to fade completely. I often wonder if I'll ever truly forget. But now, I have a family to protect, and that's what matters most. Still, a part of me feels guilty toward my husband. He's a wonderful man, always showing me genuine care and affection. But every time I look into his eyes, I feel a heaviness in my heart, as though I'm hiding a part of my past that he deserves to know. I wrestle with the question of whether I should tell him about my history with Alex. The thought keeps me awake at night, torn between revealing the truth and keeping it buried forever. I fear that if I confess, he might never look at me the same way again. Everything we've built, the little family I cherish, could crumble because of my admission. On the other hand, living with this secret feels like a burden, weighing me down every day. It makes me feel unworthy of the love he gives so freely. Honestly, I don't know what to do. I stand at a crossroads, unsure which path is the right one. Perhaps, as you listen to my story, you'll judge me for the pain I've caused and the poor decisions I've made in the past. But I can only ask you, if you were in my situation, what would you do? Would you choose to confess the truth, knowing it might shatter everything? Or would you choose silence, letting the past sink deep into your memory, hoping it never resurfaces to harm those you love? I hope to receive your advice in the comments below. If you were in my shoes, what would you choose? Should I share everything and face the consequences? Or should I keep this secret to protect what I have? I welcome any advice, sympathy, or criticism, because truly, I find myself at a crossroads, uncertain of the right path forward.